You don't get the show.
Right. So we went through more of those games, and now we swing back to I guess what we would call it is I guess Twitter outrage. Let's see if I can try not to butcher his name. Would it be Katsuhiro Harahara? Is that right?
Katsuhiro Harada. It was
Harada.
Harada.
Okay, from Tekken 7. All right, so we have Tekken 7, and they have the fighters, and some of them are sexy fighters. And it's funny because in one of the poses, and we have the picture, and it shows a nice bikini, and she's pretty, she's hot, and you guys are going to want to look, and you girls are going to want to look. And it's funny, so I guess someone asked about the picture or something. So I guess in one of his replies, I guess they were asking about the picture or something to effect like, will we see it or will it be up there or something like that? And his reply is basically like, ask your country's SJWs, which is for social justice warriors. And then he put like, ha ha ha. And I guess that was into the, will these costumes be in the Western version of Tekken 7 on consoles? And yeah, I guess after that it didn't go over too well because, man, I don't, here's the problem, guys. Here's the problem. So bringing this back to a Miami content. Okay, so Dwayne Wade, our guy in Miami Heat, went to Chicago Bulls. Okay, so what happens? Okay, this is what actually happened. Everyone, you have a camp that's kind of sad, and you have a camp that is like, oh, I understand it happened. But what you also have a camp that says, hey, I want to get on TV or I want to be put on the internet. So what do? They videotape themselves burning his jersey. So what does someone else who has a blog do? Say, hey, I want some free clicks. So what do? Miami Heat fans burn Dwayne Wade jersey. So what do people on the internet do? Hey, I want to make fun of Miami Heat fans. Miami fans burn jerseys because they're terrible Heat fans. What do people who want to hate on Miami Heat fans do? Miami fans are dumb and they burn Wade's jersey. Guess what? You feed stupid people. So that's kind of what's happening in these cases. So people come out the woodwork and say, oh, as a lifelong identifying female Tekken fan, this tweet makes me feel real sad, come the fuck on, blah, blah, blah. Look, I understand that there are issues out there where people are actually being offended. I understand there's issues out there that actually are hurting people. But it's the internet. You will always find someone to be offended. You will always find a way to offend people. That does not mean that every time something is done, it's offensive.
Yep.
It's the internet. And unfortunately, that's just what happened to him. I mean, Randy, you agree with my sentiment?
No, it's so like you don't even have to go that far back. Okay, like look at what happened with Street Fighter V. So Street Fighter V, I can't remember what the name of the fighter is, but it's the girl that's like the wrestler. I think it's like the Mexican wrestler, the
Brazilian,
wrestler.
the Brazilian,
the
one,
Brazilian
right?
wrestler. Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember before the game came out, there was this big hoopla over this whole like, oh, that they're changing it to come over here to the United States and blah 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 blah. And literally what they changed, because I saw the video of her doing her super from the Japanese version and the super on the American version, is when she does her super in the Japanese version, she kind of like points out her target and slaps her ass, and then she does the move where she grabs the person and her partner and her come and they like smash their butt against or their butts against the person's like head or whatever, and then slam them down into the ground. Like they grab the person and do it. And in the American version, all she does is she kind of like points them out and does like her stern look, and then they do the same move. And it was this like, I remember this huge fucking hoopla over because they're like, oh, that they're like, they're censoring the whole thing and blah, 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 blah. Like, it was that whole like, oh, where are the trolls at? Okay, let's sit there and start feeding them. Here you go. Here you go. All right, yes. Oh, you've eaten enough? Oh, good. It was just this insane, crazy thing that people like. And like you said, I can understand people will get offended on certain things. But it's this whole like you say, you're gonna have the people on one side of the fence, the people on the other side of the fence, and it's like you could feel the tension in the air, and then somebody in the far back row is just gonna chuck a beer bottle, and it's gonna hit somebody on the other side of the fence, and then all hell's gonna break loose. And this is
Exactly.
basically what started to happen here. And it's like, his comment was in such a way where like you can, like you said, it was in a sense of like, hey, don't ask me. I just like, I made the game, but I'm not the one that has the final decision. But the way that he kind of said it is, ha ha ha, here's food for the trolls, go to work.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing about it. And it's like there's a way to say it. Like he could have just sat there and come out and said, like, you know what? I just made the game. Like it's up to whoever makes these decisions that decides what's coming out. Boom, plain and simple. Argument would have ended there. I mean, it would have still probably started the whole argument over the internet type of thing, but he would have been like the guy of like, hey, you know what? Like, if it were up to me, well, I'd release it how it was released. And in looking at the photos, it's like you said, it's a good looking, like it's a sexy, blah 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 type of thing. The whole thing of having a woman portrayed and wearing a skimpy outfit and blah 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 has been around. Like if you sit there and you think about it, think of freaking Dead or Alive. That has
Yeah.
been around since way back when, you know. And I think one of the best things I ever saw where they kind of poked fun at that whole thing. I cannot remember for the life of me the freaking web comic that it was, but it was a web comic where there was this like barbarian in this like full armor, and then there was like a warrior woman wearing like the typical barbarian woman, which was like the bikini metal armor and all that. And she like goes to a blacksmith, and she's like, what the hell is this? Like, he's wearing a full body armor, this is what I'm wearing. How the hell is this going to protect me from anything? Like, we
Yeah.
should be wearing the same thing. And literally the last frame is the barbarian guy wearing the bikini armor, going like, dude, this is the best armor I've ever had anywhere. Like, I feel like I can move all over the place. And it was just like so funny because it like poked fun at that whole stereotype, which is another huge thing that like it reaches out not only to video gaming, it reaches out to board gaming, it reaches out to any type of gaming and all that. It's that whole, you cannot please all of the people all of the time. You can't. You're always going to have some sort of critics. And that's the biggest thing. Is like, I mean, I think one of my favorite things I've ever heard anybody say was one of the guys at Blizzard that worked for World of Warcraft. And he said, if you ever think that God has an easy job, try running a freaking MMO and pleasing everybody. You won't. It was literally his quote. And it was so funny because I started thinking, I'm like, yeah, no matter what, you're going to piss somebody off. And that's the way it is. It's like the way of the world. But it's like, it's so silly that we fight over these like these things like this, you know? And it's just funny to watch the whole like it's like, hey, here's the fight going over here, and they're throwing a rock, and there goes a freaking car, and there goes this, and it just gets so out of control.
And the thing is he stirred the pot. Like, first of all, he called out the social justice warriors. Like,
Oh yeah,
if you make a Twitter post and you type in SJW, you just summon them. That's like
oh
saying
yeah,
Candyman in the ghetto.
yeah.
Don't do that. You don't say Bloody Mary 5 times in the dark. You don't say Candyman in the hood, and you don't say social justice warriors on the internet. You will summon them. And then he
Oh,
had to go back later and then edit his tweet or delete his tweet, and it's like by then it's too late. You done
it's
summon them. You
like
summoned
we
them,
said,
dog.
like we said the last time. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. It's
Yeah,
not
man.
coming down.
You done fucked up. Today I fucked up by summoning them on the internet. Don't do it.
That dude just stood up on the highest mountain, pulled out the little horn that summons the SJWs, and just blew that shit as hard as he could, and then walked down the mountain and go, "Fuck, I shouldn't have done that shit."
Yeah, you done summoned the whore, fool. You done
Uh,
fucked up.
you done fucked up. It was at that moment that he realized he done fucked up.